Order on the record, please. I'm Charlotte Mitchell, Chair of the Utilities Commission, and with me this morning are Commissioners Brown Bland, Clodfelter, Duffley, Hughes, McKissick, and Kimmerite. In compliance with State Government Ethics Act, I remind members of the Commission of our duty to avoid conflicts of interest and inquire at this time as to whether any member of the Commission has a known conflict with respect to matters coming before us. The record will reflect that no conflicts have been identified, so we'll proceed with Public Staff Item 1.
I'm James McLawhorn with the Public Staff's Energy Division. Item 1 is a joint filing by Duke Energy Progress and Duke Energy Carolinas in docket number E2 sub 1214 and docket number E7 sub 1210. It is a request for an extension of the waiver of Commission Rule R1211 M2 regarding premise disconnection visits. We have reviewed the application and recommend approval. I do want to note for the Commission that it appears that the incorrect version of the proposed order was sent over to the Commission. It does not change the meaning or the recommendation. It just has some typographical errors. We will make sure the correct version makes its way over after staff conference.
Move approval of the recommendation.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that the recommendation of the public staff be approved. Any questions or discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor indicate with an eye. Aye. Is there anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. McLawhorn. All right.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. Vance John with Public Staff Accounting. I'm combining the items E2 and 3 to present first. Items P2 and 3 are the request by DC and DP for interim true-up adjustment for storm cost recovery filed on August 31st, 2022 in docket numbers E7 sub 1243 and E2 sub 1262 for rate to be effective October 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023. The public staff has reviewed the filings and work papers provided by DC and DP for mathematical and clerical errors and is satisfied that there's no such errors contained in the filings. The public staff has not reviewed all the ongoing financing costs and servicing fees incurred for the review period and reserve the right to review them in the interim true-up. The semi-annual true-up, sorry. The public staff recommends the Commission approve the request of the raise.
All right, Ms. Zhang, the Commission notes that this is the second true-up. This is the second interim true-up that the companies have requested. Yeah. To the extent that the public staff is aware, has the company identified a cause or the need, the reason for this second true-up? Yeah,
for this interim true-up and other than the semi-annual true-up, on this one, they identify a few reasons. The primary one will be the one is they are changing the correction curve. Originally, they are putting 100% on the month after the billing, but now they change it to, depends on the company. One is like between 87 or on the month after the billing. So they change the correction curve. And the other reason is they have some estimate shift among the rate classes. So because the rate is different, so you're shifting the estimate a little bit and it will be different.
Okay. And so can I take from your explanation that these corrections the company has made will ameliorate or will eliminate the need for true-ups other than the called for true-up?
Okay.
Going forward?
Yeah. The discussion with the company, they say that it won't be eliminate the need because all the information are based on estimate. So there may be a potential that they will have those interim. But they say that in the next semi-annual true-up, they are going to propose the more accurate estimate and the way to calculate the rates.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any additional questions for the public staff on? Go ahead. Commissioner McKissick.
Yeah, I guess the other question relates to the amount of the proposed true-up. I mean, it seems like the magnitude is greater than what I would have reasonably thought, would have been necessary. But I mean, was there any explanation provided? It seems like the first true-up, there were some computational errors that resulted in it. But on this particular occasion, I did not anticipate true-ups being in an amount or magnitude that the last two have been.
Yeah, based on our conversation with the company, basically, as I said before, because original, the estimate, the collection curve to be 100% to be collected on the month after the billing. So, but the reality is not like that. So there are some, because they are DSC system, what they have a billing cycle. DC is 38 days, I believe, and the DP is 29 days. So your billing cycle will fall into a different month. That's for one thing. And after you bill, you have the correction period. It will maybe fall even further. So that's what they are saying, that they will address that issue, and then they realize
I
the
see.
reality that there's more correction in the month after, like in the second month after the billing. So that contribute the majority of it.
I see.
Yeah.
So was the number of days being calculated at like 29 days, I think you said, versus 38 days?
Yeah, the billing
see.
cycle, the billing cycle, because all the customer may not bill in the same cycle, so you still have the time window fall outside that.
Okay, that helps clarify it a little bit. So I guess moving forward, we anticipate relatively minuscule adjustments, relatively small.
I can't say that because we're just trying to assume they will, because I would say probably because this is new to them, and they also try to understand their system and will see their correction and see what it will be the best estimate. And as the public staff, we don't want them to overestimate and charge the customer more.
Too much.
So, and then, but on the other hand, because the fund, it had to be correct enough in order to avoid default on the bond.
Exactly. You need the proceeds coming in to pay the bonds as they become due and
Yes.
payable in the sequence of phases.
Mhm.
Thank you. It provides greater clarity.
So I'm looking out into the audience and I see representatives of the companies here. Anyone that's prepared to, all right, come on up. If you would, please, ma'am, just identify yourself for the record.
Yes, good morning, Chair Mitchell, Kathleen Richard, on behalf of Duke Energy Carolinas and Duke Energy Progress. We do have some witnesses here today, some expert witnesses that'll join us up here. We've got Tom Heath, the Director of Corporate Finance, Heather Ford, Senior Accounting Analyst, and Morgan Beveridge, Manager of Rates and Regulatory Strategy. If you all want to join up here, they're available for questions.
All right, thank you, Ms. Richards. Good morning, Mr. Heath. If you would, sir, identify yourself for the record and then just respond, if you would, to the questions that we've had for the public staff this morning.
Sure. Tom Heath. I'm a director of structured finance for Duke Energy, serving for these storm bond transactions for DEP and DEC. So to clarify, the DSO lengthening that was mentioning is a contributing factor, although it's not a major factor. But so we did refine the calculation for DEC to account for cash coming in later than 1 month. So our initial calculations showed, billings in, say, July, all that cash coming in August. the DSO for DEC has lengthened out to 37, 38 days. And so we have more accurately shown that in this filing to account for that delay. That's not the primary factor for DEC, however. The question around frequency of future interim true-ups, we do believe, we're confident at this point that the likelihood of future interim true-ups is greatly reduced with the refinements that we have made in this interim true-up and further refinements that we plan to make in the scheduled semi-annual true-up that'll be made in November for rates to be effective in January. But there is, as was mentioned, we're taking a fixed payment requirement and dividing that by a forecasted kilowatt hours by rate class for a given 6-month period. And the one thing we know for certain is that those forecasted kilowatt hours will not be the actual kilowatt hours. The actuals will be higher than those forecasted projections or lower. And so if they are lower, that would drive possibly the need for an interim true-up, for future interim true-ups. But we think that simply forecast variances should be less likely to be a driver than the things that we experienced in the first interim true-up and the things that we experienced in this interim true-up.
All right, thank you, Mr. Heath. I think that additional explanation is helpful to us. Any additional questions? Go ahead, Commissioner McKissick.
First, I greatly appreciate you being here today and providing that very detailed explanation. I think that really puts everything in context.
Right.
It's actually interesting and good to see you live after observing you virtually in meetings for 6 months.
Same here.
So thank you for being here today and providing that information.
No problem.
Move approval of the recommendation.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that the items be approved as recommended by the public staff. Questions or discussion? All right, all in favor indicate with an eye. Is there anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. All right. Thank you all.
Chair Mitchell, if you don't mind, I will present this item 6 and 7.
All right, please proceed.
Item P6 is a notice of affiliate transaction filing pursuant to General Statute 62-153A and Regulatory Condition 3.1A by Dominion Energy or Dominion. In the notice, Dominion filed 2 affiliate agreements. One is the asset transfer and assumption of liability agreement between Dominion and Dominion Privatization Virginia LLC or DPV. The other is a system usage agreement between Dominion and Dominion Privatization Holdings Inc. or DPHI. Through the asset transfer agreement, Dominion will transfer privatization assets and contracts for 8 military installations in Virginia to DPV. Through the system usage agreement, DPHI will pay Dominion one-time customization fee and a monthly fee for use of the systems. The monthly fee will base on the system cost and the customer ratio. The public staff has reviewed the agreements and recommends the commission recognize the notice filing with the condition listed on the proposed order.
Move approval of the recommendations for items 6 and 7.
Only 6.
All right, it's
Only 6, you say.
Yeah.
Only 6.
only 6?
Yeah,
All
the
right.
first one is 6.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that item 6 be approved as recommended by the public staff. Questions or discussion? All right, all in favor indicate with an eye. Anyone opposed? That motion carries.
Okay. Item 7 is the petition of limited waiver of the code of conduct by Dominion in docket number E22 sub 634. Dominion requests the limited waiver for 30 employees who will be transferred to its affiliate DPHI. These employees are currently employed by Dominion or Dominion Energy Service Inc. and use Dominion's system, including the customer information system, to perform their daily work for military installations. After the transfer, these employees still need access to the system to perform their work. As stated in section 3.8.2B and G of the Code of Conduct, Dominion shall not disclose customer information to any affiliate or non-affiliate without the customer's consent, and shall take appropriate steps to store the customer information. Dominion state that the current customer information system, CBMS, cannot prevent employee who use it from improper access to the customer information. This CBMS system will be replaced by a new customer information system in second quarter of 2023. The new customer information system will have the security measures to prevent employees with improper access. Dominion requests the waiver until the new system is in service. The public staff has reviewed the application and agrees that the circumstances set forth by Dominion justify the request of the waiver. And the public staff recommends the commission approve the limited waiver with the conditions listed on the proposed order.
Move approval of item 7.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that the item be approved as recommended by the public staff. Are there questions, discussion? All right, all in favor indicate with an eye. Is there anyone opposed? All right, that motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Floyd, I assume you've got items 4 and 5?
I hope so.
So do
Not
I.
anymore. Thank you. I'm Jack Floyd with the Energy Division of the Public Staff. Item 4 are a pair of filings by Duke Energy Carolinas and Duke Energy Progress requesting approval to modify and expand their Energy Wise for Business programs. The changes will incorporate a new bring your own kilowatt option, which will allow the customers to nominate electrical load that they are willing to reduce at Duke's request during a winter peaking event. The incentives that participants will receive are based on the actual load that they will reduce during those peaking events. On August 31st of this year, the public staff filed a set of comments on these applications, highlighting our review and ultimately recommending that the commission approve the modifications as new demand-side management programs and allow for cost recovery consistent with each company's DSM-EE cost recovery mechanism. The staff also recommended that for administrative ease, that we maintain the existing dockets rather than putting this modification in a new docket. The public staff also would like to highlight that the improvements to the cost effectiveness that are the result of these modifications. The cost effectiveness are in the attachment B of each application, but we also requested that the company model the whole program before and after the modification. And those results indicated that for Duke Carolinas, the utility cost test, which is our primary test, moved from 1.54 to 1.88. And for Duke Progress, the UCT went from 0.87 to 1.38. In other words, the modifications improve the cost effectiveness of the programs. Based on our review, the public staff recommends that you issue our proposed order recommending approval of the programs.
Madam Chair, move that this item be taken into executive conference.
All right, all in favor indicate with an eye. Is there anyone opposed? All right, we will take these items into executive conference.
Item, item 5 is a request by.
Actually, Mr. Floyd, let me be clear. We will take item 4 into executive conference.
Correct. Item 5 is a request by Duke Energy Carolinas to modify their residential power manager load control service program to include a new heating load control option that would allow the company to interrupt service to customers' ducted electric resistance heating devices during the winter. The customer would be allowed to opt out of no more than 2 winter control events, but if they do more than that, they run the risk of being bumped off the program. On September 9th, the public staff filed our comments highlighting our review and concluding and recommending that the commission approve the modification as a new demand-side management program and allow cost recovery pursuant to Duke Carolina's cost recovery mechanism. The staff would also like to highlight the impact to cost effectiveness of these modifications. In this instance, the program under the utility cost test, the overall cost effectiveness goes down slightly from 5.28 to 5.12. However, the modification itself is still pretty cost effective. It's just so it happens to work out that the math, the modification is slightly less than the average overall cost effectiveness of the program. But the staff also highlights the fact that this is a winter peaking DSM program, and we are trying to find ways to improve winter DSM opportunities for the company. And that reduction in cost effectiveness to us is acceptable on that basis. Based on our review, the public staff recommends that the commission issue our proposed order recommending approval of the program as filed.
Madam Chair, I move that this item be taken to executive conference.
All right, all in favor, indicate with an eye, please.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, we will move this item into executive conference as well.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Floyd. Good morning, Ms. Patel.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for accommodating the change in the flow of the gas item presentations for today. Item 8 is docket G9 sub 812, which is an application by Piedmont Natural Gas Company requesting authority to flow through of certain alternative motor vehicle fuel excise tax credits to its customers receiving compressed natural gas service through a reduction in rates under its rate schedule 142, and the commission approves special contract fleet fueling agreements. Exhibit A to the petition reflects the proposed CNG rate adjustments. The staff has reviewed the proposed rate adjustments and recommends approval as filed.
Move approval of the recommendation.
Ms. Patel, just one question for you. I note that the credit the tax credit will be used to benefit the customers who are taking use of the CNG fuel. Was there any discussion or analysis of applying the benefit of the tax credit for the full body of the company's ratepayers as opposed to just the customers taking the CNG service?
So based on discussions with the company, the customers who would run their credit cards on while fueling the trucks would be the customers who receive the credits from the time that this adjustment goes into effect. This adjustment was in place since January of this year until December of 2024. So the customers who have not received that adjustment so far, there would be no way to go back and give them that adjustment, but there will be an accounting adjustment made to the books
Okay.
for the company.
Okay. All right. Any additional questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor indicate with an eye. Is there anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, thank you, Ms. Patel.
Item 10 is docket G9 sub 813, which is an application by Piedmont Natural Gas requesting authority to increase its rates and charges effective October 1st, 2022. This adjustment is a result of the net effect of reduction in the demand charge component of its rates and a proposed increase in its benchmark commodity cost of gas from $6 per decatherm to $8.25 per decatherm. Exhibit A to the petition reflects the proposed rate adjustment, and based on the review of the public staff, we recommend the proposed rate adjustments as filed in Exhibit A.
Move approval of the recommendations.
All right, Ms. Patel, do we have any sense of when the company might be able to come back in and reduce the commodity charge? Has the public staff discussed that at all with the company?
Yes, we have. So generally, October onwards, the winter prices reflect a higher commodity cost of gas compared to the summer gas prices. But just today, this morning, we checked, it was roughly in the $6 range, which is much lower than what the September prices looked at. Forward going onto March 2023, based on what the company has, the balances would come back to a more regularized level. They will go back and reevaluate the prices based on what the NYMEX prices will reflect.
Okay, so do I understand you to mean that they're likely not going to come back in before March 2023?
That's what the company discussions,
Okay.
the
Okay.
company mentioned.
All right, any additional questions or discussion? All right, Commissioner Hughes.
Yeah, I know there's a decrease and an increase, but is it possible, and do you or anyone in the company have an idea of what the net impact is for, say, the first winter heating month? I mean, is this a 20%
It's
increase, or is this going to be more like a 10% increase?
it's roughly about a 6.22% increase.
Okay, so
Sorry, go ahead. It's $5.48 going for the winter period until March of 2023.
okay, this is just a side note. A couple of times we've had questions with gas. It's tricky because sometimes the average gas usage, it takes into consideration people that just have a stove and also heat. So when we get those numbers, if you could kind of present it as an average for a family that uses gas heat, and it may or may not be the case. I know we've talked to some of the other LDCs about this. It's just how they do it. But again, the people we're going to hear from are the people that do full gas heating. And, when they look at their, they look at their bill in December or January. So it might be $5, it might be higher. Does that make sense?
Sure. But again, talking to the company, there's no way they can segregate how many families, what kind of usage they have. Each house.
Yeah, I'm not asking for any, I understand that. I appreciate that. I'm not asking for exact number, but I think there's a lot of data out there about what customers use. So, I mean, it could be a range, but it's very different to talk about a heating customer versus mixing together, again, a cooking customer there. I mean, EIA has data there. I mean, and I realize it's all dependent on the weather and it's dependent on where they live. It'd be a little bit more accurate than if that $5 is indeed blending. And it could just be, it could be just maybe having a benchmark usage that we use, that customers in this climate use X amount of for heating.
Sure.
So sometimes we get numbers and it might actually disguise what's actually happening. It might be people getting an impact of $1 and people getting an impact of $20, and it averages together. I don't know if those numbers are right, but
Sure.
thanks.
All right, any additional questions? All right, As a reminder, there's a motion that's been seconded that the item be approved as recommended by the public staff. All in favor indicate with an eye. Is there anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Patel. All right, good morning, Mr. Nader.
Morning, Chair Mitchell, Commissioners. My name is Jordan Nader. I'm with the Public Staff Energy Division. Item 9, docket G5 sub 652 is a request by Public Service Company of North Carolina for approval to adjust rates under Rider C and Rider D of its tariff effective October 1st, 2022. The Public Staff has reviewed the application information provided by PSNC and recommends the Commission approve the application as filed.
Move approval of the recommendation.
All right, questions or discussion? All in favor indicate with an eye. Is anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. Good work, Mr. Nader. All right, Commission has before us our minutes of September 19th for approval. Questions or discussion on that motion? All right, all in favor indicate with an eye. Anyone opposed? Our minutes are approved. All right, any additional business for Commission this morning before we adjourn? Not seeing anyone, so we will be adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody. Let's go off the record, please.